one. So anyways, they should be getting underway just about any second now. Here we go. Alright, they start right off the bat. They can skip the opening cutscene, duck right into this first town, Cornelia, go and buy a hammer from the shop. And then they can opt to shop here, or they can... There's a slightly newer route that some people are doing that might have them shop in Provoca, but it looks like both of them are going to do it right here. So they're going to quickly launch immediately into the first equipment glitch of this particular category, and this is the biggest reason this category is considerably shorter than other categories of FF1 that you might be familiar with. So this equipment glitch allows them to essentially pull equipment that they really haven't earned in any way, shape, or form out of thin air, put it on characters regardless of job or equipment slot that it's supposed to be restricting them from, and then if they even want to, they can just pull it out of thin air, sell it, and dupe it for money, and then move on. So that significantly overpowers the characters in the early going so that they are largely invulnerable to many of the enemies in the early going and can essentially skip a lot of the grinding that happens throughout the course of this run. So, since they don't need anything other than some quick early supplies, they're just going to make their way right up to the Chaos Shrine at the beginning of the game. And confront Garland, who has kidnapped the Cornelian princess, Sarah, because he's kind of a jerk. If you guys have any questions in the chat, please feel free to ask. We got plenty of time to answer questions here. So they duck here into the Chaos Shrine. You might know it as the Temple of Fiends from other versions. They're going to take a quick detour into this treasure room down in the bottom left corner and pick up a leather cap. This is because they want to turn this into another piece of equipment they're going to glitch called the Judgment Staff. This is an item that does not normally exist in the original game. It's a staff with a lot of melee power, more than any of the weapons we can have right now, and additionally they can use it in combat with their characters to cast Flare. That's right, Flare, the black magic spell. The level 8 magic spell. So within 3 minutes they have that spell on their characters. And they also have enough defense on their characters that they're taking literally 1 or less damage from almost every attack from enemies at this point. They're pretty much even though right now. Oh, Kib getting the longsword drop, and this is going to be a lot of fun to watch Kib tonight, because she's going to get all the rare stuff happening that makes this a lot of fun to watch. So if you guys are new to this category, we are calling this the Total Chaos Tournament because there is a heavy RNG component, and you can see big lead changes and swings in the RNG at just about any time to change things up. So no lead is safe in this tournament until very late in the run. So they've rescued the princess. There's a short cutscene where they're instantly transported back to Cornelia Castle so they don't have to walk back or anything. And then the princess rewards us with a loot after saving her. It's a little quicker to talk to her rather than walk out of the room, because if you walk out of the room, she calls you back for a brief, very short cutscene. And then the king rewards us for rescuing his daughter with rebuilding this bridge so we can continue on the overworld to get to the next destination that we have to get to, which is the town of Provoca. So these short little cutscenes were added in the remakes to, flesh out the plot a little bit more. They slow us down a little bit here compared to some of the other categories, but thankfully many of the animated cutscenes that they did add that were nice were changed to be skippable in this version, so they can just, essentially fast forward and skip a portion of them. So they're all set here. They're just going to walk back up to the bridge here. Hopefully, not going to get an encounter here. They really don't want to get one here because it's just kind of a time loss. As soon as they get on this bridge, their chances of getting an encounter immediately reset to 0 after this cutscene, or at least to the lowest level possible. Normally, your chance to get an encounter rises with each step you've taken without taking an encounter, and it caps out after about 15 or 16 steps. And additionally, it's impacted by the type of tile that you're walking on. So you can see grass tiles, you can see forest tiles. Forest tiles have a higher cap than grass tiles, so it's more likely that you're going to be getting an encounter on any given step on a forest tile compared to a grass tile. So where possible, they're going to try to avoid walking on forest tiles, but there are large sections of the map where they cannot avoid that. and they're just going to have to power through. And the encounter rate can be extremely variable here. They can get maybe 2 encounters total. They can get maybe 7 encounters. It's kind of random each time, and they just have to deal with whatever they run into. There's no way to manipulate the encounters in this race, or in this category. So none of these enemies are really posing him a threat. Holy is getting some wolves over here. Doesn't really want to see wolves because they tend to have a higher agility, which means that they tend to go earlier in the turn order and take their turns more frequently than our characters. And running away from them can be a little bit more difficult too. Kib has made it over here to BK the pirate, and this initiates a combat with the pirates. Luckily, we have our judgment staff and can use it in combat to cast flare with any of our characters here to take them out in one go. Otherwise, we'd have to melee them down one at a time, which would take 3 rounds of combat, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So they're looking pretty good so far. I don't think either one of them got a leather shield drop. It looks like they're going to be both using the white mage route, which is a slightly older route that most people are using, but it's very similar to the current black mage route that many newer runners are learning at this point. But this is a no less capable route in this particular category. So, to illustrate the quick differences between the two of them, the white mage route, it's based on picking up a piece of equipment later on in the run known as the Lust Dagger, which boosts agility. And what we'll be doing with that is putting a Lust Dagger on our white mage and then giving her a huge agility boost so she takes really early turns in the combat order. And then if we run into unrunnable groups, she'll be using a number of items that we glitch throughout the run to use them and clear the groups quickly. Specifically, we'll be picking up a mage's staff that we glitch from a leather shield. We'll be using a gauntlets that we'll be picking up later in the Citadel of Trials to cast Thundara on certain enemies, and then we'll also use a black robe we glitch later from a mithril dagger to cast Blizzara. So we'll have access to Fyra, Blizzara, and Thundara, but that is later in the run right now. They only have access to Flare. So that is the longest of the 4 spells in terms of animation time, but it is also the most powerful. So they will only use that as a last resort, but it will guarantee that the combat will end in 1 round against all of these weaker enemies they run into. Where possible, they're going to avoid trying to use it because they don't want to just waste the animation time. It tends to be easier to flee and quicker to flee. And additionally, they don't really need the experience here. The experience they're going to get from the forced fights along the way is going to be all they really need to continue on here. So they're both ducking in here into Alfheim to pick up some gold needles. This is a safety item that they can pick up to allow them to recover from getting petrified later on. They don't want to get petrified, but they might not run into any enemies that give them any petrification. But if they do run into them, they want to be able to cure that, because that can very quickly derail a run if you're not prepared. So they're both just wandering through this huge section of forest here to get over to the Marsh Cave, which is their next destination. Kib with a slight lead at this point. Actually, both of them are on pretty good pace right now. Neither one is really lagging behind. We've seen many runners have considerably more difficulty getting into the Marsh Cave early in the run. So this is a solid pace for both of them right now. So Kib is the first one into the Marsh Cave. It's 3 floors deep. She just can beeline it over to the crown chest, and that'll initiate a fight against Pisco demons here. She's getting a good run here. The Marsh Cave actually has a fairly low encounter rate in this version, so it's not uncommon for her to do what she's doing right now, which is running straight there with getting almost no encounters. He's running it a little risky by not healing her characters because these guys can do quite a bit of damage, but it looks like all of them really did no damage to her characters. That's really fortunate for Kib. These Pisco demons are resistant to everything, all the spells that we might have at this point in the time, so we just use the Judgment Staff to take them out in one go rather than attack, because there's no guarantee that our attacks will be able to kill them in one hit. And so Kib gets the crown and is just going to beeline her way out back here. Holy and Kib are going to high five in a second here. Holy also having a pretty good run here. He just had a much worse run onto the way into the shrine itself, but once he got in, he was fine. Holy also getting 3 of them, so they're just going to use this again, and he's also going to risk it. Wow, they really all got lucky here. I tend to find it safer personally to heal up before this fight, just in case they tend to do a lot of damage, because in spite of the fact that we have a lot of defense, if the enemy's crit, it ignores the defense value, which can do a lot of damage to our characters. So they both have the crown now. And they're both making their way now next to Western Keep, where the Dark Elf King Astos is awaiting us. They just kind of have to go through a large fetch quest in this early portion of the run, and they don't have any gear which really assists them with being able to run away or speed up their turns or anything, so they're just kind of at the mercy of the RNG at this early portion of the run. Later on, we'll be glitching some equipment that grants agility, which will be making it much easier for us to run away and much quicker for us to take turns in combat. But we don't have that yet, so we're still working on this. So you see Holy getting a preemptive fight over here. That means that he can run away freely. All of his characters get a chance to act before any of the enemies do. And additionally, if you want to run away, your very first attempt to run away will be successful. Otherwise, when they get into combat, they can basically just hold L and R, and that will automatically issue a flee command to all their party members. One of the many quality of life changes that has been introduced in this particular version of the game. So Kib starts the Astos fight here. Astos has a chance to cast Death, and we don't really want to see him do that if possible, as it takes a longer time to animate, and additionally kills one of our party members here. But the advantage of having one character dead is the experience that the Thief would have earned is now split among the other 3 remaining characters, so our mages are actually going to get more experience, and that's going to set them up better for a grind later on. And additionally, she also got the high roll on the White Mage here. White Mage has a chance to do a little bit over 100 or sometimes over 200 damage with the Flare, depending on her intelligence score. And since she went over 200 and the Black Mage went in sequence, that fight went as quickly as possible for her. Holy also getting a 1-round fight here. So they're both in pretty good shape here. Ted the Thief misses out on some experience from that fight, but it's not very bad at this point. Yeah, no Mithril Sword from Astos. Kib did get the Longsword from Garland, though. I don't know if that's impacted her yet. That may impact her on the upcoming menu after she's done the little section and starts glitching in Alfheim. They don't want to see, enemies can actually, certain enemies can drop certain items in this version, unlike the original version of the game. And some of the early fights drop items that can give us equipment, and unfortunately they could interfere with some of the glitching that we plan to do. So you don't really want to see that in the early going. The only exception is the leather shield from the pirates. Who let Mud in here? Here we go again. Welcome in, Mutt. Welcome to the chaos. Welcome to Kib's Wild Ride. Okay, so Kib is getting an ambush here, which means all the enemies get 1 free attack against her party, and additionally one of them got poisoned. 2 of them got poisoned. So it doesn't really want to see that, because it doesn't really want to lose HP on her characters. So if they see that, she's going to just take a quick stop in the menu and use her antidotes that we bought earlier. They should have enough. They glitched early on a copy of the Knight's Armor on each of their characters and then took a 5th copy and sold it for money, which facilitated all the antidotes, potions, ethers, and Phoenix Downs they should need for the remainder of the run. So they shouldn't have to buy any other supplies from this point on. That may depend on their route. if they opted to buy ethers earlier. I think Kib actually just went straight shopping in Cornelia at the start, so I don't think Kib has ethers yet because there's no ethers available in Cornelia. They're available in Provoke if you want to duck in there and shop, but it's a little more out of the way. And I think Holy did that. So I think Holy has ethers, but he's not going to need that until later when they have spells. But it looks like actually Holy took the lead now. Kib got a little bit more unlucky with the encounters, but well, here we go again. They're both looking like they're trading the lead here. Here's an ambush for Holy, which is slowing him down because he's got to sit there while all 5 of these goblins just get a free shot at him. Oh, Kib gets it. Oh, here we go. Yep. Trading the lead. Oh, it's an ambush, though, for Holy. That's going to slow him down. So Kib takes the lead. So they're basically neck and neck right now, completely at the mercy of the encounters. So no lead is safe. This is what we want. We want close races. We want to see exciting lead-changing flips like this. The closer they stay the whole time, the more interesting the race becomes in the end. But you can watch a player... It's entirely possible for a player to fall 3 to 4 minutes behind and still be able to make up that difference over the course of the entire run. So, even if one of them starts to get better RNG at this point, don't count the other out. So they went into Matoya's cave with the Jolt Tonic. I'm sorry, the Crystal Eye they got from Astos after they defeated him. It belongs to Matoya. They returned it to Matoya in her cave and were rewarded with the Jolt's Tonic. Kib getting a really good run right now in terms of encounters. Oh, except she got the Sahagin Big Eyes. That's the one she doesn't want to see right now. Because these guys tend to outspeed us, and those Big Eyes can often use a nice gaze attack, which is a long animation and tends to paralyze our characters. Kib did take the lucky run option, though, and she got away with it. So she makes her way here to the Elven Castle, returns the Jolt Tonic to this Elven healer here next to the Prince. Prince has been slumbering, so this will wake him up. And as a reward for ending this little dreamful sleep of him, he rewards us with the Mystic Key item. Holy right behind now, just a short cutscene behind of several seconds. So this Mystic Key is one of the most important key items in the early going. They needed to be able to access a number of treasure rooms and some other locations later on. The first of these is right in the back of the Elven Castle. Quickest way to reach this room is just to quickly exit the Elven Castle out left and then re-enter and come back in, because that's a little bit quicker. So here we go. Kib notices that she still has the longsword in her inventory, so that's clogging up her inventory with a ruby armlet, which is what it glitches into. She doesn't really want that, so she's got to take an extra button press every time she does a glitch here. We'll see if Holy can catch a little bit faster or not. So they stopped into this treasure room to pick up a mithril hammer and they may pick up a bronze glove, so I'm not sure if they're going to do that in this particular route here, but they're going to turn that mithril hammer into a piece of armor known as a Thief's Armlet. This is an item that did not exist in the original version of the game. It was added as a post-game reward for the GBA bonus dungeons in that version, and additionally this version also features those dungeons and one additional one which has even more rewards. And these rewards are a big part of what we're glitching in this run that makes this run as quick as it does. So Holy, they're both on the ship now. Kib getting a very unwanted sea encounter at this point. She's opting to staff it just to make sure it dies in one go. But now we have some agility gear. This should be a little bit easier to run away from these sea encounters here. But Holy's taking the option to run away instead of guaranteeing a one-round flee. Kib sees Buccaneers, though, which are easy to flee from here. Once again, they're just within a couple seconds of each other right now, so this is a really close race going on. So these guys are going to duck in here into this first treasure room now that we have the the Mystic Key. These two treasure rooms in the back of Cornelia are open. Holy's opting not to go for the the mithril knife in the one treasure chest. He's just going to grab the nitro powder, which is going to slightly catch him up to Kib. Kib's going to pick up the mithril knife in the one room because she's going to turn that into a piece of equipment known as the Black Robe later in the run once she has that in her inventory, she can have her white mage use it in combat to cast Blizzara. So it's essentially a substitute for the spell if you don't want to buy the spell here. And this older white mage route does not buy many of those spells. So once they have the nitro powder, previously known as the TNT, they can just go straight over here to Mount Dwerker, which is a short sail and a walk. They do have to walk a good portion of the distance just because you can't dock the boat anywhere you want to. They have to dock the boat at specific dock tiles on the overworld in order to be able to get on or off their boat. And they take the nitro powder here down to this NPC Narek, who is extremely familiar. He's extremely interested in this otherwise empty-looking cavern down here. And they blow open the slight canal here so they can open up access to the remaining portion of the sea. So we just blew up a nice little canal here, probably flooded that dungeon, but we've moved on with our lives here. Dwarves, meanwhile, are probably drowning, but we don't really care at that point. We are moving on. So Kib returns to the ship. Her next destination is going to be Melmond. Holy is just a few seconds behind right here. So they can go through this little passageway here, and they're going to park their boat here and walk into Melmond. And they're going to pick up the most important weapon in the game in this particular cutscene here. So first, they're probably going to sell... Well, Kib's going to sell the extra ruby armlet she got, and if she notices that there's the longsword she's going to get rid of, she's going to buy the steel gloves here and turn that into a weapon known as the Barbarian Sword. So this particular sword is only available in the PSP version. It is supposed to be a reward from defeating the most powerful form of the PSP exclusive super boss. That's at the end of the Labyrinth of Time bonus dungeon in this edition. So it has 125 attack power, as well as giving a 15-point strength bonus, and with the properties of the equipment glitch, we can put it on any of our characters pretty easily. In this case, we're only going to opt to put it on 2 of the melee characters, as they're going to be doing the most damage with melee attacks, and we'll find better gear for the mages later on. We don't really need their attack power. You can put it on them. You can put the Barbarian Sword on them as well if you'd like to. It's completely optional at that point. So once they're all set with that, they start to make their way into the Earth Cave here. Once again, Kib holding a very slight lead here. So there are 5 floors, 5 basement floors here in the Cavern of Earth. They can only access the first 3 of them at the moment. At the end of the long and windy 3rd floor is a vampire that is blocking our progress. And we can't proceed any further after that. So what we have to do is go and confront the vampire, grab the treasure chest that's right behind him, which contains the ruby. Once we have the ruby, and have defeated the vampire, there's a sage that's in another cave that will reward us with the earth rod, which we need to proceed to the lower floors. But we have to grab the ruby, because otherwise the giant that is blocking our path there will not move out of the way. So here on the 3rd floor, this is where they can first start to see unrunnable encounters in this particular run. So Kib runs immediately into these 2 guys right here. So these are the same enemies she saw in Marsh Cave. They are an unrunnable encounter here. So if she runs into something like this, she has to stop and kill it. She will not be able to run away from it. She can try to run away from it, but every flee attempt she makes will be unsuccessful, and the game will not give any feedback that she cannot flee from that other than making every attempt fail. So the runners will have to know which encounters they can and cannot run from. Additionally, they might wish to alter their strategy on fights such as the one Kib is getting against Wraiths, because these can sometimes be problematic to run from, and they have a chance to paralyze our characters. So if she deems it's a dangerous fight, she may wish to stop and try to kill this just to make sure that she can continue moving on. She doesn't want to get stuck in a prolonged encounter with any particular random encounter or boss, because that will just slow you down and increase your time. Holy is getting a large group of wolves here, which is slowing him down. So Kib, looks like she's the first one to reach Vampire. No, actually no. Holy already beat the Vampire, so he's on his way out now. So the power of the Barbarian Sword meant he could basically one-shot the Vampire. The Vampire only has a couple hundred HP in this version. But the Barbarian Sword grants more than enough attack power to make up for that difference. So Holy has to get through the remainder of this floor. This is easily the longest of the 3 floors, and he doesn't want to get any of the Pisco Demon encounters that Kib saw, because they'll have to stop and fight that. Also doesn't want to get ambushed or keep running into enemies that stop letting him flee very easily. Additionally, you might sometimes see players save on this floor just in case of a really unfortunate ambush, like Kib is getting here. These commentator curses are coming very in handy. So Kib getting an unlucky ambush here against Cockatrice, so she has to decide if she wants to try to flee from this or if she wants to try to kill it. If she fails to run from it, it could be really, really dangerous for her. So she did get lucky there. 2 of her characters got paralyzed right away, and there were 4 of them, so if all 4 had managed to hit, that would have been an instant game over for Kib. And I don't know if she even had a safety save at this point. One nice quality of life feature in this particular game is you can save at any point in time, and you will see them take it probably at specific points just to guarantee that they can continue the run on, because there's some dangerous points. So Holy's the first one out here, so Holy has to make his way over to the Giant's Cave and feed the ruby to the Giant. So it does sound like Kib took a safety save here, at least at the start of B3, but if she were to die now, that's going to be a big time loss, because she would have to go through the entirety of the 3rd floor all over again. But she's off the 3rd floor now, so there's not really any danger. There's no particularly dangerous encounters on the first 2 floors of Cavern of Earth. The 3rd floor is the only really dangerous one at this point. Holy is into the Giant's Cave and is going to hand over the ruby here. But Holy's now opened a slight lead here. Kib's got 1 floor left to get out of the Cavern of Earth. Okay, looks like Kib's almost out. She's, again, still getting really problematic encounters here. She was like 2 steps away from getting out of here. Holy, in the meantime, has made his way over to the Sage's Cave. So as a reward for defeating Vampire, the Sage Sada rewards us with the Earth Rod. We need this to be able to proceed to the bottom 2 floors of Cavern of Earth and confront the Lich. Lich is the first of the 4 elemental fiends we have to defeat in order to be able to access the final dungeon and to take on the final boss, Chaos, the namesake of the tournament. So they're going to do probably a quick high five here in the Giant's Cave, as Kib is on her way back. Oh, I'm sorry, Kib's on her way to the cave, and Holy's on his way back through the cave. So Kib's going to sit here through a short cutscene while the giant moves his butt out of the way here. It is a nice, finely toned butt, but it's blocking our path, so we want it out of the way. They do a quick high five, and then Holy's moving back on to go through his second trip here to the Earth Cave. Kib, meanwhile, working her way over to the Sage's Cave. It's about a minute and a half behind right now. Still doesn't mean anything at this early stage of the run. Both look like they're on about one encounter away, so Kib's getting a preemptive from shadows. There's an unusual property with shadow enemies in this version where if you get into a fight with them, they're always going to be a preemptive or an ambush. Luckily, in this particular version of the game, you tend to see them in an ambush far more frequently than in a preemptive far more frequently than an ambush. So Kib gets the Earth Rod. Meanwhile, Holy begins his second descent through the Earth Cave. So he's onto the second floor. He's going to basically just have to repeat the same first 3 floors here. And Kib's just going to repeat this overworld trek to get back to the Earth Cave. So we'll see if Holy opts to take a save or not. For newer runners and for races, it's recommended that you save at the start of the third floor. Looks like he's going to take one just in case. That's a smart play if you're in the lead, is to take a save. Because it allows you to guard against pretty much the worst RNG you can think of and recover from unfortunate circumstances. So Holy is but Holy's getting a Pisca Demon fight here. That's going to slow him down a little bit. Kib's going to start her descent now. She's got nothing to really worry about on the first 2 floors, so she just has to get through them, and hopefully with not too many encounters. I mean, in the best case, an encounter takes about 6 seconds, and that assumes that you run away as quickly as possible, you don't get ambushed, and you flee on the very first attempt. Is about 6 seconds roughly, so if any enemies take an attack, that adds about a second or so. If any of your characters fail to flee, that can add 1 to 2 seconds. So you just want to get into and out of the encounters as quickly as you can. Holy getting a group of wraiths, and they seem to be slowing him down and didn't let him run on that first round, so this is another chance for Kib to catch up right here. Holy's right at the end of the third floor. Kib's, meanwhile, has started the third floor. Holy's onto the 4th floor now that he used the Earth Rod to remove the slab that was blocking our progress. So this 4th floor continues to be dangerous. Many of the same enemies on the previous floor can show up here as well. Additionally, they don't want to get blocked by any of these bat NPCs. There's many tight corridors here, and these bats can often get in the way and slow you down. Holy, again, having some trouble with wraiths here. So Kib seems to be getting the better luck so far in the Cavern of Earth. But Holy is still maintaining his lead and is nearly off the 4th floor now. He is off the 4th floor. He's onto the final floor here. Kib not messing around. She just wants to keep moving on, so she's going to use the Mage's Staff against these wraiths because they are vulnerable to fire and holy spells, in particular Dia. We don't have Dia though, so fire will work just as well. Kib starts the 4th floor. Holy takes a safety save before encountering Lich. This is highly recommended for both players because the Lich can open up his attacks with a spell called Blazara, which can do more damage than our characters have HP at this point. So there's not even a point of really healing our characters at this point. Holy's just going to try to damage race him and do as much damage as he can, and he does it Has to do 1,200 damage, and he did it in 2 hits. That's exactly what he wants out of that fight. He doesn't want to give Lich a chance to attack, if possible. But it's not always up to you. Sometimes your characters can fail to do 1,200 damage, and Lich will get a chance to respond. And if he does respond, you really just don't want to see Blizzara, because that will potentially wipe them and force them to reload and retry the fight. Alright, here goes Kib. She's going to try to do the same thing. Oh, right off the bat, we get a Lich right here. So Kib instantly resets because she knows that's going to be a wipe anyway. So that's why she took the save. Unfortunately, it's going to cost her about 15 to 20 seconds of this cutscene playing out again. And she really hopes he doesn't do that again, because she doesn't want to have to do that again. That's 900. That should be more than enough. Yep, Kib gets lucky on the second try. So the first try slows her down, and unfortunately she loses some time there on the Lich fight. So Holy is now a cutscene ahead of her and is making his way to the next destination now that Lich is defeated. So Kib has to watch a short cutscene here where she rekindles the Earth Crystal. And additionally, there's a short cutscene immediately after that that shows the opening of one of the bonus shrines that is available in the GBA and PSP versions of this game. It's unskippable, so she just has to sit there and let it play out before she can move on. Holy, meanwhile, has already done that and is making his way back to the ship. So again, it's a slight trek to get back to the ship, and then he's going to take kind of a long sail to get over to where his next destination is. He's got to go around this little peninsula here, and then hang a left. And his next destination is Crescent Lake. There is a sage that will reward us with a canoe. We can use the canoe to reach some extra destinations. But he won't give it to us until we defeat the Lich, so we're kind of blocked in terms of progression until we defeat Lich. After that, these players are actually free to kill the other 3 fiends in any order they really want to, but they will probably be following rough story order in terms of killing them. So they'll be facing Merilith, Kraken, and Tiamat in that order, just as it tends to be the fastest path through the game at this point. So Holy has to dock here and then take a walk over to Crescent Lake here. He can't cross over the lake itself, so he's got to walk all the way around it through this forest, so he's likely to get a bunch of encounters on the way. Some of the enemies here can poison him. That can be slightly beneficial depending on his party setup, because he's going to be journeying next to the ice cave and setting up an experience grind for his mages inside there. So we ultimately want to get our melee characters killed off during the next section so that we can set that grind up quicker. Holy having a little unfortunate luck with hill gigas. They don't tend to be too difficult to run from, but in the meantime, Kib has landed the ship and has started to walk over and has caught up some time. Holy's almost in the town here. There he goes. He gets into the town. Okay. So Holy, I think, already went shopping for ethers earlier, so he's going to skip the item shop, just go pick up the mithril gloves and the mithril axe here in the towns. Oh, he picked up the mithril knife here instead. Okay, I see what he did there. Alright, so Holy's going to begin his next glitch here. So he picks up the mithril axe to turn it into a weapon and into an armor known as the Black Garb. So the Black Garb adds 10 points of agility for each copy that you put on your characters, and he's going to glitch 3 copies on 3 of the 4 characters, not including the warrior. And then additionally, he bought the mithril gloves, and he's going to turn that into a weapon called the Lust Dagger and put that on his mages. So in combination, the mages are going to have 3 black garbs on our character and a Lust Dagger, which gives a combined 50 points of agility to each of them. And that will significantly improve their chances to get to run away from encounters and to take their turns earlier in the turn order. So both of them did that. Holy additionally bought a mithril dagger which Kib picked up from a chest earlier in Cornelia, but you can also buy it from the shop here, so I think Holy opted to do that instead. And if I'm not mistaken, Kib also went into the item shop and bought some ethers, because I don't think she did that earlier. So they should both be caught up on their shopping at this point and have roughly the same items. So their next destination now is going to be the ice cave. They got to get back to their boat, sail up and around this little landmass here and get into it. Now that we have the canoe, we can actually just dock immediately at the mouth of a river, just like so, and proceed on. So we don't necessarily have to park right at a dock if there is an opening into a river on the overworld. You gotta sail through this slightly maze-like section to get into the cavern of ice. Holy's having a very nice sail here. Canoe tiles tend to have a these river tiles tend to have a very low encounter rate, so it's not uncommon for him to make a trek like that without getting too many encounters. Alright, Holy reaches the cavern of ice and immediately saves. A highly wise decision, as in spite of the fact that we have some overpowered gear here, the cavern of ice can still be quite dangerous to us. Kib is almost off her canoe and is walking in now. So they're going to have to both make their way through it. Kib also saving here. Again, a smart play. Holy one floor ahead right now. So they're just going to try to make their way through this cave as quickly as possible, but if they run into Pisco Demons or other enemies, they're going to have to stop and kill them, and there's just a number of myriad other enemies that can do quite a lot of damage to our party if we get unlucky or ambushed. So Holy's getting away from this group here and moving on. Kib had to stop and kill that group of Pisco Demons. We had two white dragons right immediately off there. Now, this is a little dangerous for Holy. Probably would have been a little bit quicker if he had just opted to attack with his characters with lust daggers or their swords. Oh, he didn't even kill them. That could be very, very bad for him. Okay, so they are runnable, but white dragons tend to be difficult to run from this early in the run with our gear, unfortunately for him. So Holy eventually got away with that, but that probably wasn't really what he wanted, although it did conveniently help set up his party partially for the upcoming grind. So he's probably not going to res the thief, I don't think, at this point, because he wants him dead for the upcoming grind anyway. And it actually left his warrior at low health, which he also wanted. So, unorthodox setup to get his party set up for the upcoming grind, but he survived. That was a very dangerous fight for him, though. So Holy advances through the ice cave. If you're not familiar with it, the only way to advance through certain floors is to fall on specific cracked ice tiles in order to drop down to lower floors and then continue on here. Kib having a rough time through these opening floors. Holy's okay. His Black Mage is a little low on health entering this potential fight with the Evil Eye coming up. Let's see what happens here. Oh, this could also be very bad for... This is another really, really dangerous situation for Holy, and he gets away with it again. He's hanging on by a thread right now. But he is now actually conveniently set up for this grind section, so now he's got his one character dead and his other one stoned, which saves him having to wait out a Thundara move from Evil Eye here on the fight. So Holy is basically already correctly set up for the grind now. He took a very roundabout way to do it, but he got there. Kib, meanwhile, is in much safer shape overall, since she still has all four characters still alive here. Except she's slightly failing to run away from the Mind Flayers, and then they kill the warrior anyway for her, so that's okay. She wanted him dead anyway. And the thief is at low health. which is okay. The exact same group that Holy just saw Kib gets into and gets away from. So Kib's still going to do the grind here. What she's probably going to have to do, since she's got one of her melee characters still standing, is she's going to have to wait out either an attack, a gaze attack from the Evil Eye, or a Thundara attack, which will kill, which will do about 70 or 80. So that's the right target with the gaze attacks. That's going to be a perfect setup for her. So now they're both going to be grinding at this point with their mages. With 2 characters dead, their remaining characters get twice as much experience at the end of each combat, and Evil Eye is a very easy and repeatable source of XP at this point. So they can basically just walk back and forth on the specific tile to trigger a fight with Evil Eye and get predictable amounts of EXP from him. And additionally, their characters with all the agility they have on will outspeed him very consistently. So they're going to be grinding on fights on this, trying to get their mages to roughly level 18. They might stop one fight short of getting to level 18. Looks like Holy's already made it to level 18, so he's going to res up his thief and his party and then continue. Oh, he repeated the fight one more time. It looks like he probably didn't mean to do that, but that's okay. It just means he'll have plenty of experience. That just probably wasted about 10 to 15 seconds he didn't want to do, taking one extra fight. But there's no risk now. So the ultimate goal of this grind section is they want to raise their mages to level 18 so that by the time they finish level 19, or Mount Gog, they'll be level 19 on their mages. Once they have level 19 and class change, they'll be able to purchase and acquire all spells that they will need for the remainder of the run. So Kib should be nearly there at this point. Holy's all set, and he just has to get out of the ice cave. So he has to fall down and then go through one forced fight and then try to walk out of here as quickly as possible. And he gets a very good run out after he's done. Kib is all set with her grind. She's gotten to level 18, so her mages will just need one more level overall, and there will be some forced fights in the upcoming dungeons that should get her to level 19 on her mages. Additionally, they're resurrecting the Thief at this point to try to get some experience for the Thief, in the hopes that he might be able to learn Haste when the time comes for them to purchase spells. It's not a guarantee, but there's a chance that it might happen. Kib getting an unrunnable here on the lower floors of his. So this Ice Gigas Winter Wolf is unrunnable, so she has to stop and kill this. She could opt to attack it with melee attacks, or she could use the staff like that. Looks like it didn't have enough damage, so she probably was smarter to use the attacks here. It's a little uncommon though, so I'm not surprised she opted to do what she did. Holy has opened a bit of a lead here, so he's returning the Levistone that he picked up there at the grind spot to this particular desert here, the Ryukon Desert. There's an airship buried beneath the sand, and the Levistone will raise it up for us so that we can use that as our transport method of choice for the remainder of the run. So the advantage of using the airship is it moves 4 times faster than you do on the overworld, and additionally there's no random encounters while you're flying on it. The only downside is there's some areas with limited landing zones, sometimes you're going to have to park the ship kind of far away from your ultimate destination and then walk. So he's got to walk here. He parked way east of the Citadel of Ordeals, which is their next, or the Citadel of Trials, which is their next destination. Unfortunately, that's the closest landing spot for the airship. So he just has to walk over this kind of long section on the overworld to get to the Citadel. Go through the Citadel, and then he has to walk back. And as you can see, there's actually a slight river area, so you can actually take the ship here and park it if you wanted to, but at the risk of doing that is you have risk getting some overworld sea encounters, which tend to be slow encounters. Although they tend to be a lot easier to run from by this stage of the run due to the agility gear you've picked up. Holy enters the Citadel here, has to talk to the NPC in here first, otherwise he can't use the teleporter on this throne chair here. So there's a teleporter maze on this floor. Each of these rooms has 1 or 2 teleporters. They have to just take the correct one to advance to the next room. If they take the wrong one, they port back to the start of the floor. These guys know pretty much exactly where they're going at this point, so it's not really much of a maze. Kib, meanwhile, has landed outside the Citadel and has to walk her way over. So Holy's all set with the teleporter floor, is onto the final floor here. He starts in the bottom right corner and has to kind of circle around to get to the rat tail chest all the way at the other end of the floor here. So as soon as he steps into this room, it forces a fight with these nightmare enemies. This is a runnable encounter, and they are vulnerable to Blizzard if they have it, or Blizzara. But it can often be difficult to run from these enemies, so it tends to be quicker to just attack them. And additionally, you can use the experience from the fight to try to get to level 19. Holy goes and picks up the healing staff here. He's going to need that to turn it into another piece of armor known as the Lordly Robes. This is another of the items that only comes from the PSP exclusive Super Boss and adds 20 points of intelligence for each copy that you equip on your characters. It's either 15 or 20, I forget which, but either way, it's a lot of intelligence. And that bonus intelligence will be very good for the White Mage to make sure she does a bunch of damage with the spells, with the spell items that she's using that she's casting in combat. And additionally, that will make sure that she does a ton of healing on Chaos for the final fight. So Kib is poisoned, entering Citadel of Trials here, so she's going to start her trek through the dungeon. Holy's almost done here. Holy's picking up the gauntlets in this chest here. This is another extra item from the White Mage route here, but he's going to use that to glitch an item called the Golden Staff, and additionally it casts Thundara in combat, so he doesn't have to necessarily pick up Thundara from the spell shops in this route if he grabs that. And the Golden Staff is an item he's going to glitch for Chaos, which will add 20 points of intelligence on his White Mage. Another item he'll use to increase her healing totals for that fight. Kib has quickly made her way to the third floor here, so she's just going to get through that. Holy getting a Sphinx here. These can be problematic to run from it sometimes. Kib opting to fight the Nightmares. Usually the smarter play. Usually the quicker play. And then she's got to grab the healing staff here. And once again, she has to walk over this tile and force another fight with the Nightmares. And this time she got 2 of them, so there's plenty of them. Looks like she's got plenty of experience at this point, so there's no risk either of these guys is going to run low on experience before they start going spell shopping. Holy's all set, made his way back there, so he's going to take the rat tail he just picked up and turn it into Bahamut in the Dragon Caves over here. Get his class change, and then that will set him up shortly after doing Mount Gog to be able to, and a couple other errands to go into and pick up all the remaining spells he needs. So Kib grabs the rat tail here, and she's got one more fight forced before she steps on this teleporter throne with the dragon zombie. She gets 2 spawns here. A little bit longer, but it's more experience. And she's all set with the Citadel now. She's got to make her way back to her airship. Meantime, Holy's all set. He's class changed. We only need the class change specifically for teleport. Every other spell that we are going to pick up, you don't have to class change for. But in order to be able to get teleport on the Black Mage has to be level 19 and class changed. Holy seems to be forgetting where he's going here. Oh, he's going spell shopping first. Usually, many other runners opt to... What is he doing here? Selling the leather cap, selling the hammer. Keep getting a sandworm here. This could be dangerous if she fails to run from this, as this can cast Earthquake. She gets away with it. I'm not really sure what Holy was trying to do there, because I have not really seen anyone do that. Go into the weapon shop there and sell stuff. Normally you come here and just buy spells. I'm guessing Holy maybe wanted to clean up his inventory. This is more of a route that's like the original Barbarian Sword route that some users still use as well. This is a slightly older route where you would go shopping before doing Mount Gulg. It has a little bit more overworld backtracking if you go this way. So Holy picks up haste, and now he's going to do Mount Gulg here. But he didn't do the usual order where most white mage route runners at this point. I hope he got ethers. Yes, he does. He has ethers. Holy's getting his whole party back up before this quick run through Mount Gulg. Kib is probably going to do a slightly different order of events, but they should eventually converge at Onrak in the near future. So yeah, Kib's going to go spell shopping and do little errands here first. So she's going to go to the Desert Caravan first. Meanwhile, Holy's already gone spell shopping and is going to do Mount Gulg now. Kib was going to do that after she does this little errand section here. So Mount Gulg here for Holy. Holy is just going to go through the 5 floors here. He's got to make... There's 2 parts to B3 and B4 he's got to get through. He's going to try to maximize walking on lava tiles as much as possible because they will damage his party, but there's no risk of encounters while he is walking on those tiles. Kib, meanwhile, stopped in the Desert Caravan, picked up the Fairies bottle there, and additionally, in this version, after you have bought that, an additional menu of items opens up. A bunch of consumable tonics you can use for one-time effects in combat. So she picked up a dozen or so Giant's Tonics. That's an item you can use in combat to raise your character's max HP by 200 for the duration of a combat. It's generally a safety item you pick up for Chaos, as it's possible that your Thief and Black Mage's HP totals gained over the course of the run will not be as high as you'd like them to be able to survive Chaos's most powerful attacks. So as a safety, you can go into that shop and pick up the Giant's Tonics and spend the first turn of the Chaos fight setting up your party to be able to survive that. So Kib takes the Fairies bottle to Gaia, releases it, has to chase the fairy down in the back of town in order to get the Oxyel. She's going to need that to be able to access the Sunken Shrine coming up. Holy gets an encounter here with Ogre Mages. This might be the unrunnable formation, I'm not sure. This probably is the unrunnable formation, considering that he's having difficulty running from it. So there's a formation of enemies called Ogre Mages and Hellhounds. You may sometimes see them without the Hellhounds, as he's seeing right here. Kib, meanwhile, is getting the distinctly unrunnable version. Holy reset? Why did he reset? I'm not sure why he reset there. All he had to do was kill that group. Unfortunately, that was the unrunnable group, I'm pretty sure, because he was having a lot more trouble than usual being able to run from those enemies. If it was a runnable encounter, he would have probably been able to get away within a few attempts. But in the meantime, that has basically caught Kib up quite a bit at this point. So I'm not sure if the lead has changed at this point. We should find out pretty shortly. Holy looks to be like 1 or 2 floors ahead of Kib. I take that back. Kib is ahead of him, and Kib has additionally done some errands already, although Holy's already done some spell shopping. So they're probably roughly even, although Holy's going to have to do just some slight additional overworld backtracking as a result of his choice. So this particular formation, Ogre Mage Chief, is totally runnable for Holy. But if he sees Ogre Mages by themselves, that may or may not be runnable, and if he sees Ogre Mages and Hellhounds in combination, that is not runnable. So they're going to get their party back up to full health now for... Oh, Kib didn't heal, but probably isn't going to be a problem so long as the mages don't really die. Kib just has to do 1,440 damage against Merilith to take her down. Nope, that's going to be a dead black mage. That's unfortunate for Banzai, but otherwise that fight was okay. And Holy takes her down as well, Merilith. So Merilith is the second of the 4 fiends they have to defeat in order to reach them. So they have 2 fiends left. They have Tiamat, and they have Kraken and Tiamat. They're going to be going towards Kraken's dungeon first, as it contains a key item. They need to be able to reach Tiamat. So there's not really another reason to do it in the other order. So they're both in the post-Merilith cutscene where they just have to wait for the opening of the Hellfire Chasm, one of the bonus dungeons here that was added. This one opens up at the defeat of Merilith. Alright, Kib's going to start immediately with some spell shopping. Holy already did this, so Holy's just going to make his way, I believe. Holy still has to buy the ferry, though, and unbottle that. So he's going to go to the Desert Caravan and go grab that while Kib is doing her shopping here. So Kib got enough experience on her thief, but opted not to pick up haste for the thief as well. So Holy's got to grab the key item out of the Desert Caravan. Additionally, the Giant's Tonics, just in case. Kib, meanwhile, has done the first of the 2 spell shopping trips. Now she's in Melman picking up Hilara for the White Mage, Teleport for the Black Mage, and they should both basically be converging. Holy's just got to go turn in the Bottled Fairy here. But Kib is essentially all set with this section and is ready to move on to Onrak, so it looks like Kib has taken the lead due to that questionable reset by Holy. We'll try to ask him about that after this race is over and see what he was thinking. Yeah, Holy's just got to go grab the Oxyel here, and then he can move on to where Kib is. Kib, meanwhile, has parked her ship as close as she can to Onrak and is going to go in here. The entrance to the Sunken Shrine's in here. Now that she has the Oxyel that Holy is grabbing right now, she can go in here. So Kib has a definite lead at the moment, but again, this can still flip very easily. There is probably still at least a good 20 to 25 minutes of action left for you guys. Possibly as much as 30. There's a short cutscene here that you can skip. So you start sunken on the 3rd floor here, and you have 2 objectives. You have to go to the top floors to pick up the Rosetta Stone from a treasure chest there. And then the other objective is you have to go in the other direction and defeat Kraken at the bottom of the Sunken Shrine. And they will stop in one of 2 locations to pick up a light axe for glitching along the way. There's a chest that you can pick it up on the 4th floor, and there's another chest they can grab on the floor just before Kraken. Either one of those chests they can grab. You only have to grab one of them. So Holy is just getting into the shrine. In the meantime, Kib is seeing a Sahagin group here. This is an unrunnable group, this Sahagin Prince Chief combo. So she sees it, she's just going to use the gauntlet she picked up earlier, which casts Thundara, and does. With the gear that she has put on her character, she can take them out very quickly using that. In older route, we didn't used to have the gauntlets for this. So we used to have to use the Judgment Staff to take them out, and the Judgment Staff has a considerably longer animation to use in combat than the gauntlets do. Kib reaches the Rosetta Stone chest here on the 5th floor. There's no encounters here on the 5th floor, but this is where she's going to utilize Teleport now to skip backtracking through a bunch of dungeons. So so casting Teleport warps you back to the end of the previous floor, and she can actually use it in sequence to go back the 2 floors that she climbed in the first place. Holy, in the meantime, is on the 4th floor, 2 floors behind her right now. So they're probably both going to grab the light axe on the 2nd floor, 1 floor before Chaos, or 1 floor before Kraken. I'm sorry. Kib seeing a ghost group here, so this group is also unrunnable. And this group is vulnerable to fire, so she's going to use the Mage's Staff to cast Fire instead and take them out. They only have, I believe, 180 HP. Holy gets his Rosetta Stone. Kib, meanwhile, is making her way towards Kraken. She's onto the second floor here, so she's going to take a quick, short detour here and pick up the light axe from the chest in the nearby room. Or she's got to deal with this ghost group. Oh, it looks like Holy's going for the 4th floor light axe instead. So he opted to warp back 1 floor, and then he's going to actually proceed to a treasure room on the 4th floor instead and pick up a light axe there. So the advantage of doing that is that you get it a little earlier and you get the light axe, and you can glitch it into a survival vest for your characters, which raises their agility earlier in the dungeon. So you'll have some additional agility for a few more floors than if you picked it up later. And additionally, it's a few steps less to go on the 4th floor. The only downside to doing it is on the 4th floor, the encounter rates for enemies can be a little bit higher than on the 2nd floor. So they're both basically going to pick up this light axe and turn it into survival vests for all of their characters. And they're going to set up their white mage with 2 copies of survival vest and 2 copies of lordly robe to give her a nice mix of intelligence and agility boosting gear. And they can put 4 survival vests on the black mage if they so choose to give him a huge agility boost. So this gives them the maximum amount of agility they're going to be seeing throughout the course of the run in combination with the survival vest and lust dagger gear they have. So this raises their chances of running away to the highest they're going to be throughout the run. And additionally, they've set up the white mage so that she should have enough attack or intelligence to be able to use these items in combat to take out larger groups of unrunnable enemies. So Kib making quick work here. They both have the light axe turned into the survival vest in the party, so the party is set up for both of them. Holy's advantage now is he already has that set up, so he can just basically beeline on the 2nd floor to the exit instead of having to detour to pick up the light axe now. Kib, meanwhile, has made it to Kraken, so she's still once again holding a lead here. Holy's only about 2 floors behind right now. So once again, Kraken's kind of a pushover in this version due to the gear we've obtained at this point. He only has 1800 HP as well, and Kib actually was able to 2-shot him before he even took an attack. Holy is hoping to have similar luck against Kraken when he gets there. He's got to go through 2 more floors first. So this is the other floor with the light X that he could get it on, but he's already got it, so he's just going to grab it and move on. Or he's just going to skip it and go straight to the exit here. And they could pick up the ribbon here, but there's actually a more convenient one located slightly later in the next area, the waterfall cavern, so they'll be using that instead. Holy getting an ambush here, slowing him down a little bit. Kib's got to sit and watch the cutscene from the Lifespring Grotto bonus dungeon opening up. It's a little unfortunate that we don't actually see any of these bonus dungeons in this category, but there's not really any advantage for us to going in them. The gear that shows up on the layout of the floors in those dungeons is entirely random. Like, they have predetermined layouts, but the order of which floors you encounter are random. There are chest spawns on each of the floors featuring treasures, but they are random spawn locations with random rewards, so there's no guarantee you're going to be getting anything that you want. And additionally, the only way out of the dungeon is to either complete the dungeon, to kill a boss and warp out, or you have to wipe to get out of the dungeon, because exit and teleport, the spells, do not work in the dungeon. Kib moves on to the waterfall cavern here, and this is the same nightmare enemy she saw earlier. With the amount of gear with the agility gear we have now, it's a lot easier to run from, so we opt to run away from him here. Kib getting bat blocked here, so she's moving on. Holy's had a really slow last floor here. And he's taking a heal before Kraken, but Kraken doesn't really do a lot of damage against their party at this point. Holy opting to attack with his mages as well. Probably just make sure his 2 melee characters don't low roll the damage and make this a 2-round fight. It looks like he got enough damage out of him. He would have low rolled though, so yeah. Either of the dagger attacks essentially made sure that that was going to be a 1-round fight. Kib's proceeding through the waterfall. She's almost done here. It's just kind of a long, windy, 1-floor cave. So she needs to reach the treasure room at the end of the floor so that she can pick up the ribbon in the chest and talk to the robot that has the key item, the warp cube. She needs that before she can move on to the next dungeon. Holy's all set with Sunken Shrine here, just has to sit through this unskippable cutscene before he can move on here. As soon as Kib walks into this treasure room, there's a forced encounter on this particular tile. It is a runnable encounter. Really don't want to see an ambush there, because there tend to be 9 enemies that spawn there, and that can take a long time depending on their animations or choice of attacks. And she picks up the warp cube here. So now that we have the ribbon, she's going to glitch that into a weapon known as the Gigant Axe, and then she's going to take the Gigant Axe she glitched from there and turn it into multiple copies of the ribbon. So essentially she's doing a 2-step glitch here to turn 1 ribbon into multiple ribbons for her characters. She's only going to put 2 ribbons on the melee characters for now and leave the mages unprotected so they can use all 4 equipment slots for agility or intelligence gear. She'll be putting on the ribbon later for them. Holy starts the waterfall cave. Kib, her next destination, meantime, is to get back to the ship so she can get to Melman. She's got to take that Rosetta Stone she picked up in the Sunken Shrine. Holy getting the unrunnable green dragon here. That's a little unlucky for him. That's the only unrunnable enemy that you can see in this. And it's a 1 in 64 chance to spawn on this dungeon, so that was a little unfortunate for him. Lucky for him, he did get his turn off before the green dragon did. The green dragon can cast poison gas, which can do damage and slow us down. Kim has made it to Melman. She gives the slab here to Dr. Un in this corner of Melman. So he rewards us by teaching us what is on the slab, which is the Lufenian language. Once we have it, we can just warp out of here. Looks like this NPC's blocking her path anyway, so she wants to teleport out. Holy rounds the corner and is just heading south to get to the treasure room here. So Kib is going to head, looks like north, and then west to get over to the town of Lufenia. Once again, though, this is an area with only 1 specific landing tile that you can land the airship, so she has to proceed over this way and then walk this long forested path to get to Lufenia so that she can talk to the NPC there and pick up the chime key item. She needs the chime to be able to enter the Mirage Tower, and at the end of Mirage Tower she needs the warp cube to be able to teleport up to the flying fortress. So she needs those 2 items in combination to be able to go through the dungeon in one go and defeat Tiamat, the 4th of the elemental fiends we have to defeat. So Kib reaches Lufenia. Meanwhile, Holy picks up the warp cube here and also needs to grab that ribbon chest. So Kib's going to get the chime. And Holy is doing his ribbon glitching now. Kib teleports out, begins her walk back to the airship. So her next destination is the Mirage Tower. She's just going to be able to head towards Kraken at this point. I'm sorry, Tiamat. If you were wondering what happened on Kib's side, she did just block an attack with a sword. So she put a ribbon on the shield slot here, and which is not normally where the ribbon belongs on a character. But thankfully for us, the ribbon, for whatever reason, has an attack animation associated with blocking, and it's a sword attack animation. Not really sure why that is, or how that was programmed necessarily. But it is one of the few items that we can put on the shield slot that will not risk hard locking the game. Many of the items that we can glitch onto a character's shield slot, if a character happens to block in combat, it can try to call an animation, and if there's no associated animation found in the files, it hard locks the game. So for the early part of the run, you don't see anybody put any, see them glitch any equipment onto the shield slot because they don't want to risk it. because there are certain pieces of equipment that are known to be not safe to put on there, and certain others that are known to be safe. Holy makes it to Melman and is getting his Rosetta Stone translated. Kib, meanwhile, is on the second floor of Mirage Tower, the longest of the 3 floors by far. It tends to be riddled with random encounters as well. The only enemy she doesn't want to see, because the only unrunnable that she can see is the blue dragons here. There's a forced blue dragon fight on the 3rd floor here as soon as she enters this room. But you can also encounter them randomly as 1 in 64 random encounters, and you don't want to see them because either combination is unrunnable here. So she just takes the blue dragon out in one go, and she's ready to move on now to the flying fortress. So she's opened quite a several minute lead here. Holy, meanwhile, is on the walk here to Lufenia and is getting Minotaur zombies. So this group of enemies is unrunnable here, so he can either attack them or he can use his Mage's Staff, because they're vulnerable to fire, to take them out. Kib is into Flying Fortress on the 1st floor. So there are 5 floors here. She's just got to make her way through all 5. She doesn't have to detour to pick up any chests or any other items like the adamant. Yeah, Kib's well on her way to trying to get a second Warmech here. So we've had 2 Warmech appearances so far in the tournament. It is a 1 in 64 chance to spawn on the final floor where you find Tiamat. And Kib had an appearance just this past Monday with Warmech, showing up and nuking the party into oblivion. So we're always happy here at the Total Chaos Tournament to see Warmech make a surprise appearance for you guys, so I hope you guys get your blessed RNGs out in chat for him. Holy getting another unrunnable here, looks like an ambush. So Kib is going to take a quick heal here, and additionally, I think she's been hurt enough by Warmech that she's going to take a safety save here. Just as well. And we'll see if she gets it. Meanwhile, she's going to make her way to Tiamat. So Tiamat has 2,400 in this fight. Kib's going to 4-hit it looks like, over 2 rounds. She opts to attack with the melee characters and not the mages because the Lust Dagger doesn't do nearly as much damage as the Barbarian Sword does against bosses. No problems with Tiamat here. There's still a risk of a Warmech here for Kib on the way out, and additionally Holy could also get a Warmech on his trek through the Flying Fortress. So we just have to wait and see what happens here. Holy is having far worse overall luck at this point in the run, though, than Kib is. So Kib has opened a pretty significant lead here. And that's going to start to be an issue for Holy, because he's going to start to run out of time to be able to catch up. And Kib gets no Warmech, so she has made it farther than she did on her Monday race. But you never know what you're going to get on Kib's wild ride. We'll see if she can find anything truly unique and interesting in the Chaos Shrine, where she's on her way now. Holy, meanwhile, has made it back to his ship, and he's going to make his way over to the Mirage Tower and start his ascent up to Tiamat. Kib enters the Chaos Shrine here. This short little cutscene plays out in the PSP version. This is introducing the opening of the bonus dungeon, the Labyrinth of Time, which is the PSP exclusive bonus dungeon. The entrance here is all the way at the back of the Chaos Shrine here. It's a short, unskippable cutscene here, but once again, there's not really anything of value that we can grab there that we can't already glitch anyway from the bonus dungeon. So we will not be seeing it in any particular race or category. There is another category of this game known as All Bosses, which features that and all the bonus dungeons that we have skipped today. But that is a considerably longer run. So Kib taking a quick safety save here at the start of the Chaos Shrine. So she's on her way to Chaos at this point, so she's got to go up 2 floors to get to the 3rd floor and then begin her descent back down to the 5th basement. Right away, she gets an immediate white dragon ambush, and rather than trying to play it out, she's just going to reload her save and move and try again. And this time she gets 4 white dragons, but luckily for her, they're not an ambush this time. So they are runnable, but she doesn't really want to risk it if it is an ambush, as they use their powerful Ice Storm attack to kill them off. This is a little bit of an unfortunate ambush on Holy's side as he's getting Hellhounds, and if they use their Blaze attack, it wastes a bunch of time. They're otherwise not super dangerous to her. Kib makes it through to the Death Eye fight with no problems, and has to sit here for a second and play the loot that she got from rescuing Sarah all the way back at the beginning of the game. That will remove the block in front of her that's blocking her progress. And now she can go pretty much to the end of the run at this point. So she has to get first through the 2 floors to get to the first of the refight floors. Holy making his way through the fortress. So Kib sees dragon zombies here. This is an unrunnable, so she's got to stop and kill this if she sees these. This is typically one of the worst floors in terms of the run back here, because you can see dragon zombies here, you can see Ice Gigas Winter Wolves, you can see... Those are the most prominent of the unrunnables here, but the frequency they come up and the annoyance of them can slow you down quite a bit. Kib makes it through that particular floor, and now she is going to take a safety save here, because once again she can get white dragons here. Doesn't want to risk losing her lead. She's getting a healthy dose of white dragons here. So she's going to try to run, and she gets away on the 2nd try. Here we go, another group here. This one's thankfully preemptive for her, so that's a free run attempt. And she's through that floor, so now she is on to the first of the refight floors, while Holy, in the meantime, is making his way through the final floor featuring Warmech. No Warmech appearance on the way over to Tiamat. We'll have to see if we can get a Warmech after that. Kib running into Worth Elementals here. This is also unrunnable. And unfortunately, while they're vulnerable to fire, the intelligence of the White Mage is not necessarily high enough to guarantee that they will die in one cast, so she opts to use the Judgment Staff instead to cast Flare, because that will guarantee a 1-round fight. And Holy hastes up. Oh, he got that without haste? Wow. That's impressive. Kib runs into the first of the 4 refights here with Lich. HP totals are a little suspect here, but we'll see what happens. So she has to try to do 2,800 damage before Lich takes a turn, if possible. That's not going to be enough. And here comes the Lich Flare. So this is probably going to kill the Thief and the Black Mage, guaranteed. Ooh, that was really close. Okay, that was dangerous, but Kib got through it. Holy with no problems, but no Warmech on his side. That's unfortunate. Okay, Kib rises up her party and continues on at this point. So she should be good to go. So now she's on to Merilith's floor. So she has to go through all of the 4 elemental fiends in 4 successive floors. Before she can get off the floor, she will run into each of them one more time. And each fight will feature a more powerful form of the enemy that they originally fought. Kib gets right into the Merilith fight here. She's just going to try to melee him down, probably over 4 attacks or so, depending on the damage they do. Needs to do 3,200 to take out Merilith. Looks like Kib got just what she needed out of that one. 2 rounds. There's not really a point to hasting because it's going to take 2 rounds anyway. Kib onto the 3rd floor, the Kraken floor here. Doesn't want to see water elementals enemies. They are very frequent appearances on this particular floor, but they are unrunnable here. Holy starts his descent down the Chaos Shrine. He's quite a number of floors behind and is probably going to be unable to catch up without significant wipe from Kib at this point. And additionally, Kib is having a wonderful Kraken floor where she's not getting much in the way of unrunnables. So she's right onto Kraken. Kraken has 3,600 HP here, so she's just going to try to chew through that. That might take 2 or 3 rounds, depending on the damage rolls from her melee characters. Holy's going to continue his descent now. He's up to the 3rd floor, which is the top floor here. He's going to get through this floor. He has green dragons here. He could use Blizzara, or he could use the black robe here to cast Blizzara instead on green dragons, as the green dragons are vulnerable to ice spells. Holy getting momentarily confused by the encounter he had and turning around. Kib runs right next into the Tiamat fight here. So Tiamat has a lot of health on this one, 5,500, so it's generally worthwhile to cast haste on the Thief as quickly as possible, as the Thief will do the most damage here. That was only about 2,000 total between the two of them, so this may be a 3-round fight depending on the damage rolls here for Kib. Yeah, that's probably not going to be enough, unless it's 2,200 or more. That wasn't anywhere near enough. So this should be the final round for this fight now. Alright, Holy begins his final descent now, so he's on the 2nd floor. This is the Ice Gigas Winterwolf. He doesn't want to see this as the longest of the random encounters he can get here that he has to stop and kill. And Kib is onto Chaos's floor. She's done with all 4 of the other ones. There's no random encounters here, so she's just got to set up her party correctly. So she's going to heal up, ether up her party, and additionally make sure she's got the correct gear on her characters. So specifically, she wants to put a golden staff on her white mage and load him up with lordly robes and a ribbon, and change the gear on the black mage to do a barbarian sword and a ribbon. So the advantage of this party setup is it increases the melee power of the black mage, because he's going to be doing melee attacks after he's done hasting everyone. The white mage is going to be exclusively healing, using all the intelligence gear she has on her, and additionally they've taken all the agility gear off of her so that she acts last in the turn order. And the other characters are just going to be attacking. They may use Giant's Tonics on the opening round if the maximum HP values of some of the characters are lower than some of the potential damage of Chaos's attacks. So her characters seem to have kind of low HP, so she's probably going to spend the opening round using Tonics on her Thief and Black Mage just to raise their max HP. And even her White Mage is a little bit low on max HP. A bit of a risk of a critical from Chaos, but other than that, he's in okay shape. Holy getting an Earth Medusa ambush. It's probably one of the worst encounters you don't want to see on this floor, because they can use this gaze attack, which can waste a lot of time. Kib's party survives the opening round, though, which is the most dangerous part. So now she's going to start chewing through Chaos's health. Chaos has 20,000 health on this. This typically takes 6 or 7 rounds, depending on your party setup. Another Earth Medusa ambush on Holy's side is really, really unfortunate for him. It's not making or breaking his run at this point, but it's just adding insult to injury right now. Yeah, and they're all choosing to gaze too, which is really slowing him down. Alright, Kib getting Tsunami now. So Chaos has a choice of 3 attacks in any given round. He can do a physical attack to our characters. He can choose one of his special attacks, which he will cast in a specific sequence, beginning with Blaze, and then Tsunami, and then Cyclone, and then Earthquake in that order, and then it will repeat. or he can cast a magic spell, beginning with Blizzaga. So he will choose to do one of those 3 actions on any given turn. And he hurts the white mage, but not enough to do that. You really want to see him do physical attacks typically, but not crit your characters, as physicals are by far the fastest of his attacks in terms of timing. His special attacks especially take a ton of time to animate. So here's Blizzaga here. Not particularly dangerous to her at this stage of the fight. Kim is in pretty much hold X to win mode, so she can just hold X and repeat the combat commands from the previous round, and she should be able to finish off chaos in 1 or 2 more rounds. Kib's pretty much got this on lockdown at this point, so Holy's going to enter the Lich refight in the meantime. Oh, but here we go. Cyclone on Kib's side, so you can see the length of this animation here. Can just waste a ton of time. Luckily for her, her party... Oh, she even put a tonic on her white mage, so her white mage wasn't at risk of getting crit. So she's okay. This should be the final round for Kib, though. And there it is. And there's the win for Kib there. A solid 131.05 SRL time. So now we'll watch Holy finish his run out. Alright, Holy getting the Faraga from Marilith here. Not particularly dangerous to him at this point. I'm going to try to get Kib in here for an interview in a minute. Actually says she's not feeling too good, so she might pass on that opportunity, but I'm sure we'll get Holy in here once he's all set. So we'll let him finish out his run here. So he's on to Kraken's floor. Just wants to avoid running into water elementals as much as possible. So Holy's almost there. He did get the water elementals here, so he's going to have to use the black robe with his white mage to take them down. Yeah, that's one of the... Trenton, the thief here, is pretty ripped in this run for Holy. He's actually got more HP than the warrior, which is very uncommon. You've been drafted, Trenton. Holy having no problem with Kraken here. So Kraken did his ink move, which doesn't really do anything to us, unfortunately. Actually, no, I think he did his Thunderbolt move. Or no, his Thundar move, that's right. Yeah, you got more buff than I did, which is really unusual. No problems with Tiamat here. Oh, I see. Okay, he switched to a Barbarian Sword early for this fight. So we had some additional firepower from his Black Mage here on this fight. Yeah, Ninja having more HP than a Knight is really, really rare. Ninja having that much HP in general is very rare. So, Holy onto the final floor here. Just going to check his setup quick. And he's got to heal up his party as well. Really just has to make sure he has enough MP to be able to do about 6 or 7 casts of Healara. Healara casts 25 each time. And Holy is taking his agility gear off of his mage. He's got to glitch the golden staff back onto the white mage here. He's doing it from the wrong slot here, which is why he's having a problem. It's supposed to be from the glove slot, not from the helmet slot. There it is. Oh, we put the wrong weapon on, though. Okay, now he corrected that. I didn't see if his character's all set up on his Black Mage already. I'm going to guess he is, because he already got the Barbarian Sword and probably a ribbon. So Holy looks to be all set for this, so he's just going to sit through this quick cutscene here and then get into the fight. So the strategy here on Chaos is if he needs to, he's going to use Giant's Tonics with his melee characters to make sure that his Thief and Black Mage have enough maximum HP to survive Chaos's worst attacks. The Thief has more than enough HP at this point, so he doesn't have to do it on that one. He can skip that tonic, but he's going to put a tonic on the Black Mage, because the Black Mage is just a tad low on max HP, but he should be okay. White Mage is going to be exclusively on healing duty for this fight. Black Mage is going to be healing or hasting everyone in sequence. Typically Thief, then Knight, then Black Mage in that order, and then attacking from that point on, and the melees will just be attacking after this point. So right off the bat, Chaos opens with a crit and nearly takes down Kibetha, the Black Mage. It's a good opening for Holy otherwise, though, because 2 quick crits, or 2 quick physicals, is much, much faster than Blizzaga or Blaze can be. If you're wondering if this is Garland, this is in fact Garland. Garland turned into Chaos. Holy's in pretty good shape at this point. That's a 3rd physical already. This is pretty much a god pattern for Chaos in terms of the time that it takes to animate Chaos attacks. That's another physical attack. I believe that's 4 in 4 rounds right now. This looks like round 5 now. Yet another physical. Wow, 5 physicals in a row here. This could be a very, very quick Chaos. Literally the perfect Chaos fight. I mean, you can't ask for better than that. 5 physical attacks in a row. Do I hope we'll try to see if we can get him in here quick. Trenton, if you're around, can you re-invite Holy to the server for a quick interview here? Okay, we are joined by Holy.
Hello.
Hello.
So,
Congratulations on finishing the run
thanks.
with literally the perfect chaos pattern it looked like.
But Ognage should be runnable in fire in the volcano.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what happened there because I was watching and I'm not really sure why you opted to reset in Mount Gog like that.
Well, because they blink, I was like, okay, I cannot. I should use the judgment staff, or in 3 turns I cannot run. So judgment staff, or anyway, I have saved just before, just at the end of the lava. Oh, seem not.
Yeah, it felt like you should have been able to take them out. Yeah, it was obviously the unrunnable pattern, although I'm not sure if you recognized it or not.
Yeah.
So we had that one, and then you also went a little out of sequence that I'm used to seeing. You went kind of more of the old barbarian sword style route where you go shopping before you do Mount Gulg.
Sorry, what you was telling? I'm trying to fix my mic. You don't understand.
Sounds like your volume's just a little bit low.
Okay.
If you were able to
Should be
raise
better?
that,
No.
you can try to raise it on your end if you can.
Okay. Well, anyway, should be better. I hope so. I'm closing of the mic, so not sure what happened with the mic now. Anyway, yeah, I forgot what you was asking.
So I was wondering. I mean, I noticed that you went, I guess, a little out of sequence. And when people do the White Mage route, they tend to go do some errands before they go into Mount Gulg. And it looked like you went spell shopping before Mount Gulg, kind of like the older barbarian sword route we used to run.
Oh, well, I mixed the route a little. It's just with my the route I have in my notes. I should do. I don't do my relic first. I get the magic, so that's why I was doing that. But I was like, okay, if I go to my relic first, I have to go buy the ferry. But I was not sure on the how to navigate in the world map to be sure to keep going in the first place. But that was kind of sad that I don't remember the world map correctly. That's why I hope for the old route.
Well, I mean, it was neck and neck for quite a while, and then it seemed like Kib started to open up a lead and never let up after that point.
Well, after the volcano.
Yeah, that seemed to be the turning point.
But the RNG after that was getting. I got a lot of encounter in Water Cave, and I forgot the name where Tiamat, the first Tiamat, the flying fortress. I was like, okay, lot of ambush. I got one in Chaos Shrine that cost me 2 minutes.
Yeah, I saw the back-to-back Earth Medusa ambush that you got on Lich's floor on the second try.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was definitely not in your favor after that point.
No.
But I mean, both of you are solid races, and Kib especially can go really fast. Although, unfortunately for us, no Warmech this evening for either player. We're always hoping for it, and Kib seems to be the Warmech magnet that she is. For whatever reason.
Well, there's still one race left tonight, so
that's true. We have one more race coming up after this one for this evening, and then quite a few races tomorrow. So there's still more chances for Warmech to make his appearance.
Yep.
So with that, I think we'll wrap this up so that we can start getting the next race set up. I don't know if you have any other thoughts here, Holy, or any other people
no.
want to shout out.
GG Kibetha for winning this race, and thanks for the community and the Speed Gaming for the race. the tournament and the race.
Indeed, yeah. Thank you, Speed Gaming, for helping us with the restream and everything tonight. And thanks everyone for tuning in and watching. So we're going to say goodbye here, and we're going to get set for one more race coming up. I believe that involves you as well.
Yeah, HolySmith versus Green Serif.
Okay. Then we'll go and let that get set up. So thanks everyone for watching and tuning in. Stay tuned for the next race. And then if you want more races, we'll be here and coming up in the next few days on the Speed Gaming channels. So until then, we'll see you then.